Team Chaos. We have some things to say. Let's talk about it. Good evening, everyone, and oh my. If you wanted chaos in the draft lottery, folks, we got it for you. Welcome to Teal Town Live. This is your live interactive, draft lottery reaction show. We are Sharks fans, so if you are outside Sharks territory, welcome in. Hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it immensely. Feel free to hit us up in the super chat. That all goes back to help support the show. So if you want to be part of the show, here's how the way to do it. First off, don't forget you check out the one-on-one interview that I did with Dan Ruzanowski. But if you want to be a part of the show, here's how you do it. Chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on our YouTube channel, on the page or the app. Follow us on the social, on everything there, including our Discord chat, which will go live afterwards. And, of course, for more content, hit us up at tealtownusa.com. With that, I introduce to you the angry Canadian robot, straight from Mr. Canada, Ian Reed, at Ian Blogs Hockey. First off, Ian, it's been a while. How are you doing?
It's all right. I mean, it's this sucks. This whole thing sucks. This is just the worst. Honestly, like I know everyone's happy that okay, so Ottawa didn't get to pick first with our pick, which I guess I can see that being okay, but honestly, compared to what just happened, that would be better. And I know some people are going to disagree with me, so let me explain this right out of the hop. I know some of you are in Discord already, so you've already heard the spiel. But here's the thing, okay? Ottawa drafting Alexis Lafreniere with our pick, yes, that sucks. But at the same point, okay, here's the thing. You would never play that team in the playoffs unless you're in the Stanley Cup final.
Right.
You play that team twice a year. Oh, I'm not even centered. I'm sorry. Jeez Louise. So here's the problem, right? LA picking second overall. Like, I would much rather Detroit, Ottawa. Let them have those picks. Those are teams you play twice a year. Sure, I don't like those teams, but whatever. You play them twice a year. You don't play them in the playoffs. Here's the problem. LA has got one of the best prospect pools in the entire league. And now they're going to probably take Quentin Byfield, who's a great center with a ridiculous amount of center depth already.
Right.
This is awful. Like, yes, it's yes, Ottawa's not getting a super awesome pick with our pick. That's cool. But this really, you're looking long term. You have a lot of teams in the Pacific that are on the upswing.
Right. Sharks,
they're at best cruise control. At best. At worst, on the downswing. So I mean, that's the worst. That's the worst case. This is kind of worst case scenario, because now you have a maybe whatever team going to win. I mean, the whole scenarios for this are kind of silly at this point. Like, if no hockey gets played, all these teams that are in the play-in are now have a chance to be first overall pick. Or the hockey gets played, and I don't care whether hockey gets played or not. I'm not going to sit here and wring my fingers over, oh, should they play, shouldn't they play? Like, honestly, that shit's out of my hand. If there's hockey to watch, I'll watch it. If there's no hockey to watch, so be it at this point, right? But, like, you look at, like, some of the nightmare scenarios now. Not only is your division rival, a team who I absolutely hate more than any other team in the entire NHL. Maybe for some people that's the Ducks. For me, it's the Kings. The Kings are number one, the team that I hate the most in this league.
Besides
They're
Vegas?
getting better. Oh, no, I hate the Kings. I hate the Kings more than Vegas. Look at Vegas. Vegas is different. Like, they're the most recent. Like, they're the more current hated team, but LA is always going to be like that team that I hate the most.
Right.
The team that I want to be, no matter where we are in the standings, whether we're the bottom team, top team, I always want to beat LA. I like beating Vegas too, but Vegas. They're the recent. It's recency bias for Vegas, right? If Vegas was suddenly not so good, we didn't have to play them in the playoffs the last couple of years. Like I think my hate for Vegas would go down a little bit, but I always hate LA more than anyone else. No one wants to see fucking LA win another cup. I don't want to see Vegas win a cup before the Sharks either, but I really don't want LA to win another cup before the Sharks.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, heck, I to even maybe Edmonton win the cup. Yeah, I think I mean, for that matter, anybody in our division or anybody that came into the league, after us, like I work for the team, but it's just, like, oh look, Minnesota, who've only advanced to the third round once, and that was their third year of existence. I mean, come on. Now, granted, should they be in here? That remains to be seen. And the 2014 playoff is all that. We'll get to that. But for this draft lottery, I mean, Ian, we were kind of talking about it beforehand. It's like, what is the worst case scenario for the Sharks? For the Sharks wise, okay, if they went number one, like you said, sure, Eastern Conference, the guy goes to the Eastern Conference, and we hear the belly aching about Erik Karlsson for forever in 3 days, unless Erik Karlsson gets a cup.
Yeah, and that's gonna like. Here's the thing: like, I entered today, like, I didn't really care what happened with our pick because that was a sunk cost. It's done, and today shouldn't make any difference as to how you feel about Doug Wilson. Like, and I tweeted this out earlier, right? Like, if you're on board with Doug Wilson's plan or you're not, but anything that happened today shouldn't have been the thing that swayed you over, because either you took it as a sunk cost and it is what it is, or you're totally fine with the fact because we have Erik Karlsson, and whatever camp you're in, that's fine. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what camp to be in. You've already probably made that decision for yourself, and I'm not here to tell you differently, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it was done, right? Like, no matter what happened, we knew going into today that Ottawa had our pick. It might end up being good. It might end up being just okay as it turned out to be. And I mean, as much as it sucks for Ottawa, I mean, they're still getting 2 picks in the top 5. So, it's not a complete loss. I mean, Lafreniere would obviously help them a lot, but I think your nightmare scenario, if you're a Sharks fan, is one of these teams. Either hockey doesn't get played in all of these, and you have teams that are like Vancouver and Edmonton. That's your nightmare scenario.
Right.
Like Vancouver and Edmonton drafting Lafreniere is your nightmare scenario at this point. And that could still happen because either one of those teams, or even Arizona.
Yeah, the Desert Dogs.
Arizona's another one.
So
there's your nightmare scenarios. Yeah. One of those two teams, although I put Vancouver and Edmonton a little bit higher than that. And then Arizona, Calgary is like your secondary nightmare.
Right.
I think both of those teams, like Alex Lafreniere would help both of those teams, but like Vancouver, his talent is so stacked that they don't need it. And dear God, Edmonton does not need that help. Like,
yeah.
Holy hell. Like, Edmonton does not need another super dynamic forward.
Their power play would be Lafreniere, Draisaitl, McDavid. I mean, poor Nugent Hopkins is going to be relegated to the second unit for crying out loud. I mean, that being said, I don't know how they're going to pay them all, but hey, it's crazy. But let's get into the chat before we re-unveil the draft order here. Animal Clans, Liam, good to see you on here. Appreciate you coming on. Okay, there we go. This almost mimicked what happened to Ottawa themselves 2 years ago when Colorado had their first round pick and they finished dead last, but that pick went fourth. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No. Drew hopes Alexis goes to Florida, if anyone. Oh, jeez. Sleepy Mofo saying, let's not get pissed over some bouncing balls. It is what it is. Can't control the uncontrollable. Sure. No.
That's true. No, and I agree, and that's completely that was my take going in. Like, there's no point getting upset over it because it's already done. It was done, it was done when the trade was made. It's done. You can't. I mean, you can get upset, but it's a sunk cost. It is what it is.
Yeah. No, it's Patrick scared of LA. They're going to be. I mean, Rob Blake's done a heck of a job with that team. And getting it around. So, all right. So, with that, if you are just joining us and you're wondering what the heck happened, here's what happened. So, well, okay, or maybe not. There we go. So, essentially, the Ducks, Devils, and Sabres went down a spot, and for the Sabres, they're like, of course, never fails. I mean, come on, really?
After the bloodbath they had, you would think that if there was a team that needed, if there was a team that needed something easy, just like that. Hey, if we're picking first overall, well, that's easy. Scouting staff. You need scouting staff.
Right? Yeah, you can just look at video scouting. That's it.
Right.
So, but yeah, you feel for them. They go down. New Jersey goes down to number 7. They also have Arizona's first, right? Or is that lottery protected?
I'm not sure, honestly. It's been so long. It's like, what even day is it? Is it like, I know Jerk said earlier it was like March 124th. He's probably right.
He's not wrong. The Ducks went to number 6. They dropped down a spot. The original pick that Ottawa had, which was the second best odds to win it, dropped down to number 5. Detroit, who, let's be honest, tanked really bad.
Yes.
They end up getting 4th, and proof, kids, that if you tank, you don't necessarily get the best thing. For the Sharks pick, that is now with Ottawa, I mean, kind of like a wash. No win, no loss.
Right.
Kind of a tie. I know we're not used to ties anymore in the NHL. The Kings went from 5th to 2nd, and a team that's in the qualifying round to play in the playoffs. Oh God, it will win the draft lottery. Ian, I mean, we were kind of talking about this a little bit here, but I mean, those starving Pittsburgh fans. I mean, my goodness, if they lose to Montreal in round 1, my goodness, they all of a sudden have a 12.5% chance to get a groundbreaking player that they so desperately need.
Long-suffering fans in Pittsburgh. I mean, they haven't had any success. I don't think they've had any recent success that I can think of. Long-suffering Penguins fans. That would be that. That I think is like overall, if you want to take like a team out of the group that can get him, like if that's the one that would like probably make me scream like F this and just walk away, I think that's it, right? Team that was like what, like they're just it's
5th
just
best
dumb.
in the East, and they have a 12, and if they lose their best of 5 series, they have a 12.5% chance at getting the number 1 pick overall.
It's broken, right? Like I just feel like this is so broken because like if you're a team, like I'm not saying like these guys are gonna throw games or whatever, although that's gonna come up, right? Like people are like, oh my God, these guys are just throwing this. The problem is like if you're a team that's like a bubble team, like if you're a Montreal or someone that like is gonna go in and just play like God, if you're Toronto. And if you're and for beating the Blue Jackets, your reward is another series against Boston. You see where this is going? Like you're just kind of like, well, like if we miss the playoffs, it's not that big of a deal. We'll got a 1 in 8 chance of getting Alex Lafreniere.
As Steve Angle would say, why not? I mean, but Rob, and I was talking to you this before we went on the air. Could you imagine those starving Chicago fans getting the top pick? I mean, my goodness, those poor. I mean, they'll think it's like an outdoor game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like, and again, I'm not gonna sit here and peddle conspiracies. It's just like if you're, if you're a team that, if you're, you might make it to the playing round and you're gonna get smashed anyway, man. Like it's suddenly not so bad. It's like, oh, my team's out in the play. Well, that's okay. I got a 1 in 8 chance of drafting Alexis Lafreniere. Oh man, why?
No, And just another Andy G is saying, LOL, no team is going to tank. NHL
No,
players are
no,
some of the most competitive athletes out there. Yeah, no, of course not. We're not saying that, but
playoffs.
if they lose, then it's like, oh crap, are you kidding me?
It's like, I don't know if I'd be more excited to, like, as a fan, I don't know if I'd be more excited to move on or lose. Like, well, another round of hockey, or
you're like, all right, are you? So let's say you're a team in there. You're down 0-2 in your best of 5 series. Are you cheering the team to lose,
yeah,
or are you cheering the team to win?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a nice, if your team doesn't make it out of if your team's in the qualifier and you don't make it out. I mean, it's a nice consolation that you have a 1 in 8 chance of, provided this thing gets off the ground and actually happens, you have a 1 in 8 chance. It's a nice consolation.
Yeah.
I don't get a consolation. I don't get to watch hockey until God knows when, 2026 at this rate.
God, especially out here in California or Florida for that matter. I mean, it's just. But yeah, we'll save the Hub City chat for a little bit later because I want to get onto that. But yeah, so that's your first round order for now. Now the next round of the draft lottery will be after the qualifying round, obviously, and I believe before the first round begins of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So there's something to do that. Now let's look at the guys that are on the list to get drafted, and we take this courtesy of Bob McKenzie of TSN, his top 10. Obviously, Alexis Lafreniere Rimouski. My God, it was like,
to me, he's the clear cut number one. Like, I think earlier in the season, like earlier in the year, I think that there was, like, you could have had a conversation, but I think at this point he's pretty much a lock to go one. I think that he's maybe not head and tails above 2 and 3, but I feel like you got like your tiers, right?
Right.
So you've got the first overall pick, you got a little bit of a drop between Alexis Lafreniere, and then you got Byfield, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Stutzel,
yeah.
Yep.
They're 2 and 3. You could probably flip those, and then you take another step, and then you got your next group of guys.
Gotcha. Yeah. Here, I'll open up this for you. Yeah, you have Tim Stutzel from Mannheim. Is that the same Mannheim that Hasso owns? If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's the case. But Lafreniere, I mean, Rimouski produced what? Vinny LeCavalier, Sidney Crosby. They are just a machine out of there. They just seem like they bring up a generational talent, like, it seems like every decade now, and unreal. But yeah, Quentin Byfield from Sudbury, Jamie Drysdale from Erie in the OHL. Definitely have a lot of OHLers in here. Jake Sanderson from the USA Under-18 program. Alexander Holtz from the Djurgården. Jack Quinn from Ottawa and Marco Rossi from Ottawa are in there as well. But so a lot of OHLers in this one for sure.
Yeah, Stutzel over Byfield, eh? I don't know if I buy that.
But what would LA need at number 2? That's the key thing.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, Byfield's the number 2 guy, but maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
Gotcha. So there's that. Now, and I asked you this in our chat beforehand. The Sharks currently, if everything just ends right now, there's no season or anything, would be at number 28 with Tampa's pick.
Right.
I mean, it could get as high as 17, I think roughly, let's say. But I mean, what do you, if they keep the pick, because we all know that can either trade up. He does have a couple of second rounders in the pick, or he could trade down to sweeten his load in the second round. What do the Sharks go after?
I mean, you just I think I really don't like the idea of drafting by position. I think you always just take the best player available, regardless of what position they play, and then you can fill in your depth otherwise. Like we've seen the Sharks do a pretty decent job of grabbing like European free agents, for example. So if you're looking for, if you end up taking a forward and you're like, oh, we're a little late on D, you have other ways to fix that. Like I don't like drafting per position because I feel like if you draft the best player available, you can manage the holes. A good GM can manage those holes regardless. It's I don't. I'm so out of the loop. Like I know it's a deep draft, but I couldn't even tell you who would the Sharks should look at that pick because I just really haven't. Again, it's March 120 the 4th. I don't know. I've been so out of the loop this time around that I just for a long time because it's like, well, is there going to be a draft? Is there going to be an end of the season? Like for a long time, it didn't look like we were going to have anything. So I was just kind of like, I'm just going to unplug and and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and the best player available. I mean, that's what the Sharks can do. And again, there's always options to trade that to get something now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of ways to address holes in your organization. Like I said, European free agent signings. You can go to normal free agency. You can trade. You can, maybe a late round pick turns out. The Sharks have had some luck in the later rounds.
Right.
As long as the only thing they can't do is turn this first round, because of the depth in the draft, if you could turn that late first round pick into a couple late seconds, not a terrible move. If you package, another pick to move up further in the first round with your, first and something else and move up, and trade up, that's not a terrible move either. As long as you don't turn that first round pick into like third round picks, you're golden. Don't turn them into third. Don't draft in the third round. You're not good at it.
No. I think we've gone on the record in the past where it's just been bad and we felt real bad, for sure. So, what do you think of this format that we're going to embark? Hopefully, I mean, training camp will begin July 10th.
They say.
So they say. Although if you're in Florida, you don't get your captain's ice at all right now.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think of this? And granted, yes, this is before everything starts. Is it something to kind of keep an eye on, or is it just let's just let it be an albatross? It's just 1 year. It's because of this whole pandemic.
I think that. I mean, my opinion's kind of always been. I think I don't know if I said this already on here or if it was Discord, but I'm not gonna wring my hands over should they, shouldn't they. Like if it's on, I'll watch it. I mean, it's hockey. I'll watch it. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Like I'm really whatever happens at this point. Like at this point, I'll watch it. I think it's gonna be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how how they manage the broadcast with no crowds and see how they make things interesting. To try and give atmosphere or whatever. It's
right.
It's gonna be super. It's gonna be interesting. Like I'm interested to see how it works out. Like again, I know some people are gonna feel strongly whether they should or shouldn't. I'm not stressed about that. If they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. They can't. Yeah. Nothing I say. Me yelling at Twitter, calling them idiots, and saying they're gonna kill everyone. It's not gonna stop it from happening. So I'll watch it if it's on, and I can understand how some people don't like it. Some people are gonna say it's the Asterisk Cup, but I think this cup, if they actually get it off the ground, I mean, a best of 5 just to get into the playoffs itself, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be probably, especially after all the time off and everything, it's going to be maybe one of the harder, like I might have a little more respect for this year's champions than say even in the 48 game season or 40 whatever game season.
Yeah, 48.
Yeah, 48. Like I you know what? If the cup gets played and the cup gets awarded, it's good enough for me.
I think it's going to be fun. I don't think you can put an asterisk on it. Um, except maybe if Montreal or Chicago get win it all. And man, wouldn't that be interesting if it was Chicago and Montreal for the cup? Um,
That'd be wild.
that'd be crazy. Now,
But like again, like but that'd be. I think it'd be super interesting. I think there's a lot of drama there where a team that normally would make it could, a team like Chicago could come and, I mean, it's the chances are astronomically not likely. I mean, we watched Chicago play a lot of games this season, Montreal as well,
right?
but could Montreal steal a series? Could Carey Price steal a series in Pittsburgh?
Oh yeah,
He could, and it's going to be interesting to watch. And the best thing for us is we get to watch it as a neutral party. Like, it's not my players getting sick. It's not my players. Like, whatever happens, right? I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch for sure.
yeah. And the other thing is they're finishing up in October, like close to October, and they're going to start next season in who knows, December. Maybe kick off the season January 1st with the Winter Classic, if they're even do that. Um, the team will be fully recovered. I mean, DW's already gone on record. I even think Eric Carlson himself has gone on the record saying they're ready to go. If they were in this playoff or this qualifying round, they'd be in. So, or they would be fully healthy and ready to go. So it'll be interesting to see. And just we'll have a playoff preview. Don't worry. Especially considering there's like 8-9 teams with Sharks ties, including one that plays in Nevada, and never mind.
F those guys.
Yeah, F those guys. Right. But where they're gonna play is another issue here. The hub cities. We're down to 5 now. What is it? L.A., Chicago, Vegas, Edmonton, Toronto.
It seems like Vegas is like the sure for sure. Like it's Vegas and who else? This seems to be the way it's going now.
Yeah, and the question is if would the league be okay going with 2 Western cities, which I don't think is, to me, I'm not sure if that makes sense.
It doesn't make any difference. Like the games are here's the thing, right? Because there's a lot of like, oh, you can't have it in 2 Western cities. Why not? No one's going to these games live.
Right.
So what, like, it's not like, oh, these games are in West Coast cities, so now, they're going to be all games on West Coast time. Like, no, they're not. They're going to play like 4 games a day. They're going to stagger it out. There's going to be teams like they're not putting the Leafs on at 10:30 at night, guys, in the Eastern time zone. It's not happening. Like, calm down. Like, they're going to play at, the marquee teams are going to play at marquee times when they're going to wear it. If you're, which I guess is good if you're Columbus because you'll be playing the Leafs first round. But like, and then like it doesn't matter where the games are played because there's going to be no one in the arena, so they can play on whatever the hell schedule they tell them to. So it doesn't matter where they are. It's just the games are going to be on at East. Like, oh, they have to get up earlier in the morning because on the West Coast. Okay, oh well.
Yeah. No, they can do a noon start out on wherever they are, whether it's Edmonton or L.A. or
the Vancouver Olympics.
Right.
Did we watch hockey at decent hours? Yeah. We did.
Right.
What's the difference?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think it'll be okay. They don't have to go to Toronto. Toronto, Ontario seems to be doing better, if I'm not mistaken.
We're doing pretty well, all things considered, up here. I don't know about Southern Ontario. I know there's still a couple of hot spots in Southern Ontario, but I think overall, provincially, I think we're only adding we're adding less than 200 cases a day right now. Yeah. Like, we're doing pretty good up here. And Quebec and Ontario are the worst in the country, and everyone else has been pretty unscathed by this as far as like caseloads go.
And that's why I was kind of surprised by Vancouver not getting in, but like you said, that's more so of what the NHL was wanting to get overall.
Because basically, here's the thing. This is my understanding. I could be wrong here, but this is what I've gleaned from the situation is the thing that the NHL wants is the NHL wants to be able to play if a player tests positive but is asymptomatic. They don't want to shut down to quarantine or whatever.
Right.
If a player is asymptomatic, they don't want if he tests positive but he's not showing symptoms, they don't want to shut down for that player. They don't want to quarantine a whole team. My understanding is British Columbia would not give them that. That obviously Vegas, they don't care.
Obviously.
Florida, they care less. But like so, like I think that's what and that's what the NHL wants. And I think if they have to go to two American cities to get that, they'll do it. I mean, I think they'd prefer to have one up here. I don't know why. It doesn't make a difference. There's no fans, but
yeah, I'm just surprised. I know Vegas they've actually already set up the Orleans arena, and that's where their minor league team was going to play until their new arena in Henderson's going to get built, and that's all set and ready to go. So that you can have two rinks, which is nice. You could probably have the practice facilities in Vegas as well. So
I mean Vegas
and hotels, of course.
Right. I mean it's all right there. You can as long as you can create a bubble, which is what they got to do, right? And I think that's the other thing that the NHL wants to do is they want to be able to create a bubble so that these guys can be basically in a bubble. They should have got an island. They should have Dana White just got an island.
Oh, come on. Let's just, can't we just like put them in, I don't know, Regina, and just they can experience Regina, and yeah, there's nothing much to do, especially since the CFL season's not going on. Go Rough Riders! But I mean, you could have put them in a spot where things are very controllable. So,
yeah.
And Rob, you're right too. I mean, they could put in the Thomas Mack Center because you're not looking at fans. Because those were horrible sightlines for the Las Vegas Thunder. I mean, you can put them in there, and that'll open up, scheduling and such, as well. So, I never thought about it. Thought LA. Why are we still having LA in there? If you're only using Staples Center, yeah, you can put everybody in the bubble at LA Live, but SoCal has been worse. I think out of all the hub cities that are in there, and I still was like, okay, we can. I thought Columbus would still be in contention over LA, and I just surprised by that. To me, if you're gonna put this team, closer to the east, I mean, yeah, maybe you put it in Chicago.
I think the other thing too is you have to remember too is obviously the players have to sign off on this, so you got to put them in a city where they want to be.
Sorry, Edmonton. No, kidding.
That's why Winnipeg is out.
Ouch. Oh, their Wi-Fi. Okay, never mind about bad, long-standing jokes. I mean, we haven't had an AOL joke in a few months, which is great. So continuing on here, we'll kind of wrap it up with the Hall of Fame reaction. Doug Wilson gets in after 27 years of, 24 years of waiting, because there's a 3-year waiting period. So, a lot more to discuss. But what did you think of all the nominations in there?
I didn't really have much of a problem with like Doug Wilson. I don't think a lot of people realize how good Doug Wilson really was as a defenseman. Like he was pretty damn good. Like maybe he's not like the first name that would come to your head when you think of like great defenseman, but like for his era when he played, he was pretty damn good. I was kind of surprised. I know like I was more surprised by who didn't get in than who did. I'm surprised Alexander McGillney's still not in the Hall of Fame. I'm surprised Theoren Fleury's not in the Hall of Fame, although I think we were talking about this in Discord too. And Theoren Fleury, I think, is a case of they don't want to put a microphone in front of his face. But I was kind of surprised by those omissions. Like Kevin Lowe's a tricky one because of the team that he played on. Like, I understand, Stanley Cups and everything else, but
Right.
man, that team was so stacked. So stacked. And it's hard, right? Like,
Right.
you wonder about that one, right? It's
Mhm.
like a little bit. Like, I still think, like, if you're gonna, like, a guy like Alexander McGillney should absolutely be in the hall over a guy like Kevin Lowe. But here we are.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm like waiting for the entire team to get into the Hall of Fame now, or those who stayed with the four cups. Like, or with Steve Smith next? I don't know.
Hey, I don't know how many of those stacked Canadians teams players aren't in the hall, I wonder.
Right. Or the Islanders for that matter in the '80s.
Oh, they're 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of surprised by McGillney. I mean Hossa, okay, but he's got the pedigree for
Hosa's
it too.
got the pedigree. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the numbers are there. I mean, you look at the numbers, you look at the accolades, it's all there for me. Like Hosa, especially in this class again, like this class when you're inducting guys like Doug Wilson, who, I think Doug Wilson probably deserves to be there, but like when you're inducting guys that have been waiting 24 years to get in, I don't have an issue with Hosa going in first class.
Right. No. No. And great to see everybody getting nominated. And that's supposed to be what, in November? We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think everything is to
It'll
be
be
determined.
March 462nd.
Yeah.
This rate.
Geez. Well, going into the chat before we get out of here, Clark85. Good evening to you from the Great White North. About time Low got in though. You know, my Animal Clans. My brother moved to Regina literally 1 week before they shut down everything. Wow, he couldn't even experience Regina. That's
That's the
crazy.
worst.
Did somebody say Vancouver? Thank you, like a tiger. Experience Regina, of course. But yeah, we want to thank each and every one of you. We wanted to get on to, it's Team Chaos. We can't wait for the next one, for the next draft lottery. I mean, my gosh, like we said, Toronto, Edmonton, Chicago. If they get number one overall, that's some. I think both
Pittsburgh.
of Pittsburgh. I think people will lose it for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, but Ian, final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Uh, Final thoughts. I don't really have much. I hope everyone is being safe and managing through this nightmare March that we've just never ended. You can find me at Ian Blogs Hockey on the Twitter machine. I've been semi-active during this whole thing. I'll try to be more active.
All right, I'm always at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. Like a tiger, like you said, it's great to see you guys too. We missed the chat and such. I think I like replayed our last show together with Shalena for a little bit now. It's been fun. We miss hockey, but do us a favor, hit us up with the subscribe button. You can throw in a super chat donation, like we said. All the money that goes to our super chat goes back to help support the site and the show. With helping out, making the broadcast a lot better. And if in case you missed anything and you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher. You can find us practically everywhere now. But more than anything, you will find us now on our Discord channel, where we will jump back in following the chat and have some good times. And I think we might do a free-for-all Saturday. I think that'll be fun to just hang out. Maybe we'll bring back some Sharks Jeopardy or do something of that nature. Have a good time in there. So if you haven't, join us there. Clark85, yes, thank you. And considering there's a ton of Leafs podcasts, although I'm still begging for Dangle to get his butt on. Although, congratulations to having a baby just a few days ago. My fave podcast, even though I'm a Leafs fan. You are a smart individual, sort of. But, I mean, we'll get you to the Teal side, of course, one day. So, with that, The conversation now continues on Discord. We will be back with you whenever news breaks. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you when we see you. Join us on Discord.